I notice that when I get on a call with a lot of clients, they'll say, oh, well, we worked with a freelancer once and it wasn't great and they didn't do a good job. And I'm always saying to myself, well, did you set that freelancer up for success? Did you lay the foundation for them to do well? So I'm reading this book called The E-Myth Revisited, and it basically explains that well-oiled businesses have standard operating procedures, and every step of how to get a job done is very clearly mapped out. And whoever comes into the business can follow a certain set of instructions and be able to do that job regardless of their work experience. And that's really what defines a really well oiled machine. The problem with most companies and most business owners is that they don't take the time to lay that groundwork and infrastructure to create standard operating procedures, to actually spell out what their systems are, what the steps are to complete a project. And regardless of that, the business will go and hire people and expect them to just magically know how to do something or bring their own expertise. And then when the vision doesn't align, that's when you get, oh, well, this wasn't what we were looking for. This wasn't in line. And then you're stuck there wondering, well, I'm not sure how I could have done this better. But unfortunately, as freelancers, we do tend to blame ourselves if a client isn't happy. It can kind of be a red flag when a client is expecting you to know everything or do everything correctly without properly setting the foundation for as somebody who's going to come in. How much infrastructure did they put in? How much success did they set you up for? Because a lot of the time, and what I've noticed with a lot of clients is that they don't set the groundwork. They just say, oh, this is what we want, go, and expect it somehow to magically come out good. And that's just not the case, because the really great businesses out there have standard operating procedures that allow their business to run like a well-oiled machine, so that no matter who comes in there, they're going to be able to take those steps. And in this book, The E-Myth Revisited, he gives McDonald's as the biggest example, because that is a business that runs like such a well-oiled machine. It runs like clockwork, where, the patty and the way that the pickles are arranged are in such a way that you just know that this business operates in a turnkey manner. There's nothing is left up to surprise, nothing is left up for judgment. It just is what it is. It's very straightforward. When you come into a McDonald's, you know what you're going to get. It's the same every time. The worker is trained in a very specific manner. And what's funny is, like, my first job was actually at McDonald's when I was 14 years old. It was like the only business that would legally hire 14-year-olds in my state. So that was my first ever work experience. Had obviously no idea how a business ran as a 14-year-old. But I'll never forget, I was making those sundaes and you pump like that fudge into the ice cream sundae. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ham and, like, put all the fudge in there and, like, delight the customers. And I will never forget, the manager came up to me and he goes, "You have to stop putting that much fudge in the sundae, because we are measured of how much fudge we have at the end of the night. And if only X amount of customers bought this and there's not that much fudge, that means you're giving too much." And it was my first like aha moment of like, oh, this corporation measures things so to the T that every single store across the world is uniform. And that's how it's a franchise model. And not every business is a franchise, but the more a business can run like a franchise, the better. So I said that makes so much sense. Yeah. So that's something I'm noticing with freelancing, is that a lot of the times, if a client makes you feel bad for not delivering, a lot of the time our automatic reaction is to judge ourselves and think, oh, I screwed it up. The client's not happy. Because as in service providers, our whole job is to get the job done and make the client happy. But a lot of the time, they don't set us up for success. And I'm at the point now where when I see those little red flags, I'm already one foot out the door, because I know that no matter what happens, I'm going to keep getting blamed for the work not being up to par. A lot of the times it's a moving target. And that's something that use that phrase when you are caught in these revision rounds and somehow the work just is never good enough. Something you can say is, listen, this is starting to feel like a moving target. I do this work, you give this revision, I revise it, now you come back with this. And the problem is they're not setting the groundwork beforehand because that takes time, intention, planning, forethought, and a lot of people don't want to do that. They wish and they hope and they expect a freelancer to come in and somehow just magically know what to do. And that's not a recipe for anything good in life. Like, that's the number one thing with women is like we expect guys to just read our minds, right? So, and you have to learn that to be in a happy relationship. It's like, oh, I need to actually say what I need and take the time to actually figure out what my emotions are so that I can tell that person what to do. And that takes work, right? So a lot of people don't want to do the mental work to lay down an infrastructure and a foundation.
Do you want to start landing high paying freelance writing clients on LinkedIn? I have a free guide for you at paidcopywriter.com. Just go to paidcopywriter.com and go to the free download section. The link is paidcopywriter.com/LinkedIn guide if that's easier for you. But it's a free download that's going to show you step by step the steps. Wow, that's a lot of steps. Step by step, the steps. Step by steps, a roadmap for how to use LinkedIn and get yourself properly set up on that platform so you can begin confidently reaching out to your ideal clients and build the freelance business that you've been wanting to build, becoming self-employed, becoming a person who gets paid to write for a living. Download that at paidcopywriter.com/LinkedIn guide, and I look forward to seeing you there. Bye.